we're trying to make these like spinny things because it's super cool. So this is the goal, this thing here. So if you would, take your piece of paper, you got your piece of paper, fold it in half, and make a nice firm crease. So you want the crease to be like super limber. Fold it in half and then fold the crease back and forth. Are you actually doing it? Anyway, all right, you're doing it. Okay, you're doing it. So fold the crease back and forth until it's super limber. So you want to like denature all of the paper bits there in the corner. Okay. Good. All right. So you have a nice limber fold there. Okay. Now take your pen, not the marker, just the pen. And what you want to do is you want to end up with a zigzag coming up from the middle of the crease. So let's start with like let's make it like a 45-degree angle zigzag. And you want to be kind to yourself. So make the zigs pretty big. Like I'm going to make a 1-inch zigzag basically. So I'm making it like that. You see it? Zigzag going up, like 45-degree angle, slope ±1, going up the page. A nice big zigzag because life will be easier for me later if these zigs are big because I'll be able to get my fingers in the folds. Yeah, can you make that zigzag like that? Got a zigzag? Okay. Here's the goal. We want to make something that has these like circular things that spin. So now we're going to do the cutting. Here's the first thing to do. Take your marker and give yourself some goals. So I got the fold at the bottom, my zigzag going up, and at the right side of each of these points, make a black dot. Right, okay. So now you got black dots on the right because those are your goals for your first set of curves. So if you use your marker and you make a nice black dot, then we'll have some targets to hit with our curves. So then take your pen, I guess, and sort of plan where you're going to go. You got your curves coming up from the fold and then hitting each of those dots. So I'm going to try to get 4 curves in here. Sort of like that. That'll work. It's not my best work, but don't worry. Now you're gonna come along with the scissors and just cut along your curve. So start with your scissors, cut from the fold up to the dot. Doesn't have to be perfectly circular. Mine certainly are not. Luckily, they don't give prizes for circularity. Okay. Okay, so I actually cut the top totally off, but I have now these little look like elephant feet or something like that. Y'all have elephant feet? Great. Okay, so now with your marker or your pen, make white dots on the other side so that you know where to go the next time. So here's our next goals are the white dots on the other side. So with your pen, take your circular arc that was on one side, your circular-ish arc, and just keep it going on the other side. So to make it kind of symmetric, like through the black dot, make it nice and symmetric on the other side. And then when you do your cuts up to your white dots, make sure that you don't cross those lines. So those extended curves from the black dots, those are like your lane lines that you're driving inside. You don't want to get outside of those lane lines. So you have these curves through the black dots that go all the way across, and you don't want to put your next cut through those, because if you cut through those, probably your thing won't really spin. It will hit itself and we will be sad. So we make those lines go all the way across and then make cuts that stay within the lane lines and go up to the white dots. And then at the top here, this piece, we don't need it. We can just cut along that last fold, make it go away. So the cuts are sort of alternating on either side. It's like a alternating rainbow. Okay, so the next part the next part is the last part, which is the folding. But the folding can get a little complicated. So we're going to make it easier for ourselves by making a bunch of marks in advance. So take your pen, your marker, and pick a direction. So I'm going to pick the negative sloped ones. So I'm going to mark all the negative slope zigs on my thing. See, they're all marked. And then I'm going to open it up and make it so that it's exactly symmetric on the bottom. So on the top, it's the negative slope things. On the bottom, it's going to be the positive slope things. Let me just draw them in. It's from the end of the cut to the end of the cut. So those go from the end of the cut to the end of the cut here. So these marks are just going to help us fold easier in a minute. And then when you're done making those marks, turn it over and put marks in the opposite spots so that the union of both sides of the paper is a zigzag. If you hold it up to the light, you can probably see where your lines are on the one side and then make them in the other side, in the other place. So that if you hold it up to the light, now you'll have a full zigzag. So you'll notice, for instance, that on the other side, I have like just this little open mouth. On the other side, the mouth goes the same way, but it's bigger. You got your marks, you can see all the way through. Okay, so now it's time for the folding. So we have our marks. So here's the thing, there's two kinds of folds. There's a mountain fold, which means the paper looks like a mountain, and there's a valley fold, which means the paper looks like a valley. And everywhere that there's a black, that black is the top of the mountain. So we'll make that the top of the mountain, then go on to the next line segment and make that the top of the mountain. And then go on down and make all your line segments the top of the mountain. And then when you're done with one side, turn it over and do the same thing. Oops, I made a mistake. Mountain, top of the mountain. Top of the mountain, I said. Yeah. On all of like roughly 12 of your little line segments. Maybe you have more. Maybe you have less. Yep. And if it all goes well, it should sort of start curving itself. The one in the middle can be a bit tough to fold, but if you use both hands, you can sort of go like this, and it might fold itself nicely. Just sort of make it into a little bird beak type thing. And if you can, then try to fold the whole thing flat. It should flat fold itself, looking something like that. Okay, and then if you look at the top, there is a little flap on the top. You grab that with one hand and then flip it over, and there's a flap on the other side. Grab that with the other hand and then go,